Welcome to the Time2Fly Podcast. It's time to give your business wings and take flight to achieve more impact, influence, and income with unique perspectives, tools, and tips from successful entrepreneurs and business professionals to help your business fly. Here to educate, encourage, and entertain you with their own unique perspectives and experience, plus sharing anecdotes of growing up as cowgirls. Here's your host, Nicole Homont.
Welcome to this episode of Time to Fly. Give your business wings. I'm your host here with Cara Chace. Cara is a Pinterest marketing strategist for online entrepreneurs. She started in social media marketing in 2011 by managing 13 million fans across 17 social media accounts for a worldwide band. Since then, she's gone on to create hashtag campaigns for cities and their tourism boards, websites for entertainers and small businesses, and provided one-to-one services and support to help online entrepreneurs like you. Cara loves creating Pinterest strategies that fit into the digital marketing puzzle for your business. She is the founder of Pinterest PowerUp, the only membership site dedicated to learning how to use Pinterest for business. No more outdated courses or questionable strategies and hacks, just updated best practices and a community of like-minded small business owners. Welcome to the Time to Fly podcast, Cara. I am so excited for you to be here today and talk about your journey from, what was it you started as?
I was a special agent for the federal government.
So now into Pinterest PowerUp. So can you go a little bit more into the special agent, just a little bit, and why you chose to leave that field?
Yeah, absolutely. First, thank you for having me, Nicole. It is such a pleasure to be here and get to chat with you. So yeah, pretty unique journey. I have yet to meet another online entrepreneur that used to be a special agent. So I was actually recruited right out of college at 22 years old to be a special agent for the government. And basically, if you don't know what a special agent is, it's a criminal investigator. So every federal agency has special agents that investigate crimes that that agency has jurisdiction over. I was in that career for 10 years, and I have done every single kind of criminal investigation you can possibly think of, from drug smuggling to financial crimes to child exploitation to keeping other countries from getting our munitions and technology, all sorts of stuff. And while there were a lot of skills that I learned and things that have been able to translate into self-discipline and things that have helped me as an entrepreneur, I realized pretty quickly in my career that it was possibly the most uncreative thing I could possibly do with my life. And I didn't really realize how creative I am until probably late 20s, early 30s. When you work for the government in that kind of a capacity, you don't own anything about your life. Your time is not your own. Nothing is your own. You are owned by the government. And that was just something that I realized I didn't want to spend 25 years doing. So, one of those situations where it was leap and the net shall appear, I quit the government after 10 years in and had no idea what I was going to do. So my husband and I moved up to Portland, Oregon, and I pretty soon thereafter got pregnant with our first child. And so I was unemployed and had my laptop all day and was volunteering for a band that some people might or might not know. It's a pretty niche specific genre, but it's the band Megadeth, which is a 90s thrash metal band. And I was volunteering to help with their Facebook page for the band. So they had at the time like 6.5 million likes, tons of spam and not good comments and all sorts of stuff, that there was a small team of free moderators that would help moderate their Facebook page. And because I was unemployed and had nothing better to do, I started just realizing how they were not really taking advantage of social media. And this was way back in 2011. And my gosh, how social media has changed since 2011. So I started learning and doing everything I could to start creating a real honest to goodness social media marketing plan, strategy, everything for the band and the band members and all of that. And within about 1.5 years, I became the official social media manager for Megadeth and Dave Mustaine. And at the end of my tenure, I was managing 13 million fans across 17 social media accounts. And that was my first job in social media. So it was definitely trial by fire, drinking from a fire hose, all of those funny phrases. It was intense and it was a lot. And what I realized was not only was I really good at it, but it let me be creative. And with some limitations, I pretty much had control over my time and what I was doing. So that lasted a couple of years. It was fun. It was time to move on. Worked for a social media agency for about 6 months, realized the whole agency downtown marketing thing was just not my vibe. Back to having no control over my life or my time or anything like that. And it was kind of one of those like, hey, wait a minute, how am I back here with this having no control over my time or anything? And that's when I started my own business. And that was the winter of 2014, 2015. I started my business doing all things social media and digital marketing. I was doing every social media platform you could think of. I was building websites. I was doing blogging. I was doing email marketing. Anything a business could possibly need to do under the digital marketing umbrella, I was like, yes, I could do this. Never built a website before. A high-profile client came to me and said, do you build websites? I said, yes, I do. And I figured it out as I built it. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that has happened in my entrepreneurship journey. And after a couple of years of doing all the things digital marketing, you know, I realized that there were things I really loved doing and things I didn't love doing. I did not love posting to Instagram for clients. This was way back before you could schedule anything or even toggle between accounts. You would have to log in and log out. I realized I love blogging for myself. I didn't love doing that for clients. So you kind of, sift and sort when you're a business owner as far as what kind of clients you like working with, and what kind of things you like doing and not doing. And that is the very kind of roundabout story to how I ended up with Pinterest strategy and marketing.
Well, I love that you're self-taught. I'm basically the same way. And definitely in the last 2 years, I have niched down a lot in what I offer my clients. Going back to 2011 and 2014, what are some things you wish you had known then that would have made your life easier?
I think a consistent theme for me, and something that still comes up once in a while, is learning to trust my gut more and more and more. When you have a gut feeling about, this client's going to not be so great, or, you know what, I really need to take this on, or I think this could be a viable direction for my business or something I might really like doing. We get lost in our head and all of the should things that other entrepreneurs put out on Instagram or whatever about the hustle, or, no entrepreneur likes to turn down potential client work, potential income. So learning the difference between this is something that's worth following out, or I need to trust my gut and this is not a good fit for me. I wouldn't say that's connected to a specific time or place, but I wish that I was as comfortable with that back then as I am now.
Leaning into your gut instinct or intuition is vital. It really, truly is. That's something my co-host Jill and I talk about a lot. Mm-hmm. She's more into intuition and guiding people through that. And yeah, there's several instances, even in the last year, that I'm like, I should have done something sooner.
Yeah, well, and so a lot of entrepreneurs have a word or something for the year where they, my word is clarity, or my word is, whatever it is. I actually have a phrase for 2019, and it's, does this feel good? Does working with this client feel good? Does taking on this project feel good? Does, doing this guest training or whatever it is, does it feel good? And that is a reminder for me to trust my gut.
And I think for especially all the mompreneurs out there who are building their business around their family schedule, mm-hmm. you have to keep that in mind, that just because it could be a high-paying client doesn't mean they're the right fit if they're going to cut into supper time or school drop-off time or pickup time. You have to be protective of that time. What is your thoughts on setting your intentions of how you do your day? What do you do there?
So I am smack dab in the middle of all of that stuff because I have an 8-month-old infant. So I now have a kindergartner and an 8-month-old. And it's tough. In fact, yesterday, my husband and I had kind of a super short 10-minute family meeting about like, okay, this isn't working for me. What do I need? And what I have noticed having an infant is trying to get work done in the in-between times, like the nap time or when he's entertaining himself for 5 minutes or whatever. It doesn't work for me because the context switching is too tough on my brain. It's exhausting. And so one of the things that we decided to do was to have a couple more hours with a nanny that comes to watch him a few times a week. And originally that time is specifically for having meetings, whether it's clients or a podcast or whatever it is. I needed a few set hours during the week that I knew I could schedule things with people. And what I realized is that that time books up really, really quickly. And then I don't have any time to work on my business. And so we definitely realized, okay, I need a little more time. Something's got to give. Like I either need to let go of some clients or I need some more time with the nanny, or I've got to have dedicated time on the weekend that I know my husband's going to have the kids. So there really isn't I'm super structured with my day because I'm not in charge right now. I have a tiny tyrant in charge right now. So I have to be flexible and I have to be structured where I can. But I think, to speak to your point, one of the things that's helped me is continuing to try new things that work for our family. I had tried at one point, okay, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. to get some work done on my own, which was great until the baby decided that he was going to get up at 5:15 a.m. every day. So just being flexible and just trying to like, okay, this isn't working anymore. How am I going to fix this or do things differently? It's hard though. There are times when it's like just the exhaustion takes over and the to-do list is too long and all of that. And you kind of need to take a step back and reset and think about your week and your responsibilities and your priorities.
With everything you have going on, what is one of your favorite productivity tools?
Well, as far as tools that I use for my business, Tailwind is my cannot live without. I could not do what I do for myself or my clients without Tailwind. So it is one of the only approved Pinterest third-party apps where you can schedule your pins. So Pinterest has said, we value consistency above all else. If you're pinning 5 times a day, 20 times a day, you have to be consistent. So if I were in my clients' Pinterest accounts doing all of this manually, I'd be doing it all day, every day. So Tailwind allows me to not only be strategic, but to scale as a business so I can take on more clients. And in fact, it's a requirement for working with me is that they have to have a Tailwind account, and that is what they use for their strategy. As far as productivity tip for me, one of the things that I do when I'm looking at my week is instead of trying to time block, which again, never works out because I never know what kind of day is going to happen with the kiddos, I theme my days. So like Monday is marketing, Tuesday is content, Wednesday is client work, that kind of thing. So that if I do have an opportunity where I can sit down for more than 15 minutes to do some work, I know what I need to be working on that day. And that helps give me just enough structure to not feel overwhelmed and scatterbrained with my to-do list.
Both are great tools there. Before we take a quick commercial break, one last question for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite Megadeth song?
Oh my goodness. That's one of those, like, what's your favorite band? It depends on how I'm feeling. So, one of the things about metalheads is that music is how we speak and get out feelings. And it speaks for us when we don't know how to put things into words. I think that's kind of a common, and that's true for a lot of people, but metalheads in particular. So it really does depend on how I'm feeling. Oh my goodness. I would say Hangar 18 probably is one of my favorites. Go listen to it after we're done.
Okay, so we'll link to the show notes so y'all can listen to Megadeth, Hangar 18. Now we're going to take a quick sponsor break. And when we come back, Cara Chace and I are going to visit more about her journey and how she developed Pinterest Power Up.
This episode is sponsored by Shield Bar Marketing, saving service-based businesses time, money, and frustration. More than just a designer, but a partner helping you develop a consistent online and offline strategy.
Welcome back, Cara. So now let's talk about how you transitioned and kind of niched down to Pinterest. What's the story behind that?
Oh my gosh. So, as I said, I was doing all things digital marketing, and I had this huge light bulb moment with Pinterest about 9 months into my journey as an entrepreneur. And what had happened was I was creating a whole bunch of blog posts, content for my website to establish myself as the expert. And I was putting them up every week without fail, just kind of head down. And about 9 months into my business, I realized, I should go into Google Analytics and see what's working for me. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in that like churning out content, and they never really stop to think about what's the ROI on my business? How is this working for me? So I went into Google Analytics and I was shocked to see that Pinterest was like 75% of my social media traffic. And of that traffic, about 80% was going to one particular blog that had gone viral on Pinterest. So that was one of those, like, I know this information is important and I need to think about how do I use this to my advantage? So I took a couple days and was like, okay, so I'm getting all this traffic from Pinterest. I'm getting all this traffic to this one particular blog. And I had this light bulb moment of, this is how I'm going to build my email list. Because traffic to your website is great, but then what do you do with it? How do you build that relationship? How do you get them coming back? How do you form a relationship with that potential customer or client? So I looked at the blog and it was very much a long form, almost an article. And I kind of walked it back and created a free ebook behind an email gate. So the blog became almost like a table of contents and what you're going to see inside, and give me your email address and you'll get all of this in a free ebook. This was way back in 2015. I still get traffic every single day from this blog. It's always in one of my top 3 traffic drivers every single month. And I get email signups every single day from this blog. That was way back in 2015. Try getting that from a Facebook post that you put up. Like, that's never ever going to happen. So that was my first like, ooh, Pinterest. I want to know more about this. And with my history of being self-taught and learning how to dive into whatever it was that I just needed to learn to work for my business, I started doing that with Pinterest for my own business. And then once I had clients coming on that I was doing monthly management for and services, it became really obvious that if they were the right kind of client, Pinterest was the biggest ROI on their marketing for them as well. And so it took a couple years for me to decide, you know what, I'm going all in on Pinterest. And then after I decided to go all in on Pinterest, it took about a year to kind of maneuver. You know, it's like turning a cruise ship. Once you're already an established business, as far as changing everything on my website, creating Pinterest specific content, all of that kind of stuff. So it took about a year for me to rebrand, so to speak. And I started being a guest on podcasts and doing guest expert trainings and all sorts of stuff to reestablish myself as a Pinterest expert. And I put out a course, I guess a couple years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago, that was called 7 Steps to Pinterest for Business. And it was a very typical online course. You get through it in a week. It was a smaller price point. You know, it wasn't like a $2,000 masterclass, you know, whatever. It was just to get something out there. And what I realized was almost within a month, there were already things that were outdated in the course. And so I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I know this is important. How am I going to use this information? And what I realized was having to spend the time to consistently update a $47 course did my business no good whatsoever. It was always going to be on the end of the to-do list behind my clients and other things going on. And I didn't want to put out something or continue to market or advertise or get students for something that was outdated. That doesn't feel good to me. I had the idea for Pinterest Power Up, which is, to my knowledge, the only membership site out there for Pinterest for business. And the whole idea about it is it's always updated. You always have the latest news, best practices, updates, strategies, whatever it is. So instead of paying for a one-time course that might be updated in a month, 6 months, whatever, and you just hope the course creator is on it and updating, it's now a monthly membership where, yes, you get all the basic best practices. We go into Pinterest best practices. This month, we're talking all about Tailwind and scheduling and different strategies for that. Next month is all about how to use your analytics to make smart decisions with your Pinterest strategy. So we go through all of that stuff, but then you're always updated as far as like, oh, hey, they've now said they want new sizes for your graphics, or you can now do these kinds of promoted pins, or whatever it is. So you no longer have to search on Pinterest for how to use Pinterest. You just have one place to go where you know the information is going to be current, best practices, and up-to-date information. So that was the inspiration in how I got to creating Pinterest Power Up.
And building the community probably allows you to build deeper relationships with your customers.
Absolutely. So of course, just like any membership or mastermind or whatever, we have our private Facebook group. We do have, because it is a membership site, there are forums and places where people can talk within the membership. And I have 2 levels. So I have the basic membership and then I have VIP. The VIPers get a whole bunch of one-on-one and like small group mastermind time with me, where I know their businesses and I help them with their graphics. And I say, hey, what's going on in your analytics this month? How can we build a marketing funnel from Pinterest with that? So it is that in between DIYing it and hiring me as a one-to-one service provider that a lot of small business owners kind of fall in the middle. They know that they don't want to take on learning it themselves, but they might not be at the place where they can hire a person to do it at the level that I provide as a service. So it's that perfect in-between grande size of, yeah, you're going to learn it, but I'm also going to be there holding your hand.
Tell us a little bit more about the roadmap that you've created. What benefits do people get from going through that?
Yeah, so my opt-in, so to speak, lead magnet, whatever you want to call it, is called the 90-Day Pinterest Success Roadmap. This is something that I created because there are so many people, and you said it before we started recording, that their Pinterest consists of like some recipes and maybe the bathroom remodel they're going to do or hair color or whatever it is. And they know in the back of their mind, I really need to use this for my business, but they just don't know where to start. So this roadmap takes them from step 1 of creating or switching over to a business profile to their very first low-cost dip your toe in the water promoted pins campaign, all within 90 days. And what I built into it is a lot of wiggle room time. So like the first 30 days are only 15 steps on this roadmap. So if you need to take a week off because you're going on vacation or you get sick or, whatever it is, you're still going to be able to make progress and not fall behind. The free version of the 90-Day Pinterest Success Roadmap comes with the roadmap and all the links you need for every single step in the roadmap to get help and learn more from Pinterest or anything else that we're using. And then the first 30 days, I have a Facebook Live video from each of those steps to kind of walk you through how to do each of those steps. The full course, which is a paid course, comes with video screen share tutorials for every single step all the way through the 90 days. That is kind of that, whether you're super experienced, whether you have had a business profile, but you need to kind of go back and make sure everything's cleaned up and your foundation is the way it's supposed to be, or you're starting from scratch. Everybody starts with this roadmap because you have to have all those pieces in place before you really kick it into high gear.
What type of businesses do you find do the best on Pinterest?
Businesses that are consistent. I have yet to work with, meet, talk to a business that cannot take advantage of Pinterest for their business. Whether you are in products, whether you are a coach, whether you're a blogger, whatever it is, the whole point of Pinterest is to drive traffic to your website. So if you have a website, you can use Pinterest. business owners who think critically about what their client or their customer needs instead of, I'm just going to put up a bunch of my work on Pinterest and hope people click through, and clients that know how to be consistent with their content. And that's the same for any social media, as we know. If you're not consistent with it, it's not going to work very well for you. But to answer what I think you were asking, there is no business that can't use Pinterest. As long as you have a website, you can build a marketing funnel with it.
Perfect. So in closing, one last question here. What is one thing that you usually see businesses doing wrong on Pinterest that needs to be changed?
Taking aside consistency, because that is the answer for everything pretty much, I would say that they don't understand that it's a search engine. So Pinterest is a visual search engine. It's not social media. It gets lumped into social media, but it's not. So they don't use keywords that their audience would be searching for every place that they can in their profile. You should have your keywords in your username, in your About Us section, in your board titles, in your board descriptions, in your pin descriptions. And they don't make an effort to do some research on what their keywords are. That is how people find their content on Pinterest. So not understanding just that fundamental, it's not social media, it's a visual search engine, will take you far in learning how to use it correctly.
A visual search engine, that is actually something I had never thought about Pinterest, and I like to work with local SEO. So definitely, I think I will have to be taking Cara's class. Now, if people are interested in taking your Pinterest Power Up, where do they find it?
So you can go either to pinterestpowerup.com, or if you want to go to carachace.com, and that's CARACHACE, you'll find a link to Pinterest Power Up, but it also has my other stuff on there as well, as far as blogs and how to work with me or anything else you might want to know about what I teach and what I do. Either of those options is good.
Anything else you want to share today, Cara?
I would just say, don't let this pass you by. I know there's a lot of people that realize Facebook marketing or Facebook advertising and even Instagram to some extent maybe pass them by a little bit, and they didn't jump on it when it was manageable and they could learn enough about it themselves. Pinterest is going public this year as far as being traded on the stock market, and things are going to change. Advertising is going to get more expensive, and we're going to see a lot of shifts this year with Pinterest. And so don't wait to learn how to do it correctly until it is this behemoth of marketing strategy and advertising, and it's too intimidating. Get in now while you still can.
Thank you, Cara. Be sure to join us for our next show of Time to Fly, where we're helping to give your business wings.
A big thank you to this episode's sponsor, Shield Bar Marketing. Be sure to visit shieldbar.com for all your marketing needs.
Join our fly. Stay informed of all things Time to Fly by subscribing to our newsletter at time2flypodcast.com. And be sure to tune in to our next show.